Welcome to the Diversity Project. I am your host, Rhonda Kulch, and on today's episode, we are welcoming a few of Long Island's finest people that serve our community during the Thanksgiving season. The Diversity Project is focused on educating the community about resources and opportunities, and today's episode is no different. Our guests today are going to be discussing how they feed families in need and do the things that they do to support our community. We ask that you please visit our website and get the direct links to each one of our guests today and consider making a donation or even just volunteering your time during the holiday season. Of course, shows like this cannot take place without our sponsors, so we'd always like to thank LifeVac, Lisa Albanowski team of Coldwell Banker, Ace Costello Hardware, Jet Direct Mortgage, State Farm, the Christina Lentini Agency, and the Equity First Foundation, our show sponsor, a local not-for-profit providing financial education and resources to our community. If you are having financial challenges, call for a free financial session with one of our consultants. So we are in studio today with Bill Ferro of Ferro Cuba Mangano, located right here in Hauppauge. So how are you?
I'm good, Rhonda. How you doing?
And I know that this might be a little different because sometimes you are on the other side. I know that you are not only active in the community, but you also have your own radio station or radio brand.
We do.
As well.
We do. So it's kind of cool to be on this end of the mic.
Yeah, it's a little different. I had, recently I had Donna Drake, who's a friend of mine. I don't know if you know Donna, and she has a show.
Right.
And normally she's interviewing me, but this time it was a little different because she was on the other side. But I wanted to bring you on. So, I know you as this tremendous philanthropic, go-giving, just one of those guys that just puts all your effort into doing anything that you can to support our community. And what I'd love for you to do is take today as an opportunity for us to learn a little bit more about your brand and what you do and how you do it, and then how people can get engaged.
Sure. So our law firm, Ferro Cuba Mangano, as you said, we've been in practice 30 years, since 1989. About 10 years ago, we created a niche in the Hispanic community and came up with a brand that's called Liga de Justicia, like the Justice League, superheroes. Our motto in Spanish is "Your lawyers to the rescue." And what we've done is we've created a type of advertising that's different. You don't see a ton of Liga de Justicia commercials on TV or on the radio. We create these different events for the community. It's a way to give back, and it's a way for people to know us. And yeah, we advertise them through our own medium on the radio. But the things that we do directly impact people, and that's kind of what we love.
Now, just give us a little list, because I'm going to say you have a long list of what you do. Well, why don't you just share a few of the things that your firm has done to support some of the communities?
Sure. So I would say from fall to Christmas is really our signature time of the year. We start with back to school. It's the 5th year in a row we've partnered with Senator Monica Martinez on our back to school event. This year we serviced about 2,500 kids, backpacks, school supplies, food, all sorts of different things that you might need to go back to school. Some kids got clothes and whatever people need. So that's sort of the signature, kick it off in the fall. And this year, particularly in light of COVID, so many people out of work, it really hit home, and it really helped a lot of people. Thanksgiving every year, we donate turkeys. The last couple of years, we've actually done huge dinners for folks, which I don't really think is possible. So we may just double up the turkey donations. And they're typically, everything we do is typically, except for back to school, is really in sync with a not-for-profit, whether it's Pronto, Adelante, Head Start, the Workplace Project in Hempstead, people that really need it, people that have been vetted for the need. And, I like to do it hands-on. So I deliver a lot of the turkeys myself, which is not so easy as you get older.
No, but I've seen you in action. And I think if people go to even search you just on your social media platforms, they'll see you in a T-shirt, in a hat, with a mask on, in sweatpants. There's nothing that's too big or too small, or anything that you wouldn't have asked somebody else to do. You are right there alongside them.
Well, I think, and listen, Rhonda, you and I have become friends, and we've talked a lot. Many of us who do good here on Long Island came from very humble beginnings.
Yes.
And it's one of the things we're proud of, is to be able to give back and our parents have instilled in us philanthropy or a big heart. But I'm able to do things that my parents couldn't necessarily do. Not that they didn't want to, but they've taught me that was something that was important to me, and I've passed that on to my kids, as I know you've passed that on to yours.
Yeah. And I've seen your children, and I've seen your grandson, right there at the holiday event.
Right. And that's our big signature event that I love. We collaborated a little bit on that last year. This is the 9th year that we're going to turn our office into a toy store. Last year we had over 275 kids or 750 families, again, all vetted through not-for-profits. And it's a real toy store where they actually came in and shopped. There's a lot more challenges during COVID 2020. The plan is to have a tent and to make it a drive-through. And to do that, we've just rented a huge storage facility so we can start buying the toys. And we're still going to do Santa. We're still going to try to figure out a way to do photos with Santa and raffles, but all while people are in their car, and maybe they'll get out at the end for the photos with Santa, because we don't want it to just be a drive-through that happens really fast. Mm-hmm. Because our event, every family is usually there for an hour, live music, raffle. So I don't want the event to go like, people are just there for 10 seconds. So we're trying to be innovative. And I think this year it's so much more important than ever to try to help people.
And I think also what happens is there's a difference between having an event that's a drive-through and creating an experience. And I think what happens with your brand, and for, if I'm wrong, you tell me, but you love to personally touch and feel. And when you have that connection, you're creating more of an experience that somebody will remember you by than just driving through and picking something up on the way out.
I'd say that's really accurate. So this weekend we did a drive-through Halloween event in Brentwood. And yeah, I could just have donated 350 pumpkins, which was part of what we did. But what I did was I rented a trailer, or somebody lent me a trailer, and then we decorated the trailer with hay and cornstalks, and we created a pumpkin patch. Even though it was a drive-through, mm-hmm. It actually looked like a pumpkin patch. And then then you get out and you talk to the people. They're in their car, and you try not to get too close. But you're right. It's all about the experience. For me, it just makes people that much happier. And I was amazed at, 500 cars drove through this event, and kids were all dressed in costumes, and their parents were dressed in costumes. And people were really happy to not be knocking on doors this year. And it was great to see. I know that's not ideal. I know that's not how we were raised. But I think as a community, for the most part, people have adapted to the changes. I know not everybody has, but I think it's important that we adapt and care for one another.
I know that when you facilitate these events, there's a tremendous amount of undertaking. How do you run successfully your law firm and then run successfully these ongoing series of events? Because as soon as you're done with one, you already have one or two more lined up in the books.
So I think the key is to be a good delegator. And I'm not. So that is a key on the problem. I'm not. Look, you're laughing because you're not the best delegator either.
No, I'm not.
Like, we just listen, when you do things and you're passionate about things that, like you and I are, it's really hard to just tell somebody else to go run with it. I trust Jennifer, who's our executive coordinator, but she knows I'm tough. Things have to be done a certain way. They have to be right. I more so trust the people that run, the day-to-day of my law firm and representing clients and things of that nature, to make sure those things are moving along. And I can then worry about the events and the marketing. And, at the end of the day, I'm the rainmaker in the firm on my end of the practice. So they kind of come hand in hand. So I'm okay.
And what about volunteers? Do you look for volunteers? We're going to have people hopefully that are listening that say, you know what? I live in Brentwood, or I live in Hauppauge or Islip, someplace that's within proximity to the communities that you serve. How does somebody say, that sounds amazing? How do I get involved?
Sure. Listen, we get volunteers every year, and I'd love people to reach out. I mean, they can call our office, and the number is 631-581-9494, and just say, hey, I'd like to volunteer. I'd like to be more involved. We have gotten a lot of publicity in the past, which has created some great stories for the toy store. I have a gentleman his name's Tony. For the last 3 years, he's drove from North Carolina with a truck full of toys. Just because he saw it on News 12 one time, which is great. And we get volunteers, tons of volunteers, from Jericho High School, where I'm the president of the Board of Ed. Yeah. Kids are involved. It's their biggest Toy drive is the Ferro Cuba Liga de Justicia toy drive, and parents get involved. And again, this year is going to be different, but when you're there and you see the people, it's really pretty touching.
I love it. And again, I love the fact that you and I can connect on so many of these levels, and giving back to the community is, not only important to me, I know it's important to you. And I think without having a certain amount of people that step up to make everybody else feel special, I think really that's what's breeding and keeping our communities, alive. So thank you so much for coming in studio today. I appreciate you for all that you do. And again, anybody has any questions, or they're going to try to locate Bill Ferro with Ferro Cuba, Mangano, and Hauppauge, all of their information will be available directly on our website. Stay tuned for our next guest.
Thanks, Rhonda.